Okay, here we are with part 3, and we're going to be talking about homes of multiple occupancy or multiple overseas with the Gazelle. And we're also going to be talking about his campaign. What do you think about that, Stats? Should we be promoting him on here? I don't think we should.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, all right.
I heard something the other day. Homes under the Hamas. No, I don't know what that was. I'm not really supposed to say that, but I don't know what was going on there.
Oh, gosh. All right, okay, here we are, right? Warrington, Trevor, homes of multiple occupancy. They seem to be growing. I found out there was about over 190 of them, apparently. In
the
Warrington.
Applications are going in ding-dong, as I call them, the homes of multiple overseas.
God. And when you consider that our own people are homeless and the people that have been on housing waiting lists for how long?
4 years.
Jesus.
The social housing list in Warrington is around about 4 years.
Have Warrington Borough Council got no shame about them at all?
Nope.
No, they haven't got any. And the local MP hasn't neither. The ex-incumbent MP.
Oh, yes, yes. Parliament is now dissolved.
Another photo opportunity last week saying, here we are settling, what was it now? The children are meeting new friends. We're helping them, whoever them are. We're teaching them English and we're helping them to settle in. Hang on a minute. Where are they settling in? What about the 4-year waiting list in Warrington?
Yeah.
For the social housing.
It's
what
disgusting.
about that?
It's disgusting.
Are you helping to settle them in? No, I'm getting angry over this. Are you helping to settle them in? 4 people have been in touch with me over the last month that's got housing issues.
Yeah.
1, why are you getting in touch with me? Why aren't you getting in touch with the ex-incumbent?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because they get nowhere.
Yep. That's what happens, to be honest with you. When councils don't really want to deal with a problem, they suddenly become deaf, dumb, and blind.
Oh, we know about that, don't we?
Of course we do.
Oh, don't we just?
We've seen it with CWAC Send Accountability. We've seen it when we covered those things, and it's disgusting. And as far as I'm concerned, we're not standing, so we don't have any problem talking about it and saying it. If I think you're saying something, sir, that's going to cause you any harm, I'll just include it and leave it in. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do really.
We'll get you notoriety.
Because yes, as you know, I've got quite a bit of notoriety at the minute. I'm, as we keep mentioning, my pointy hat.
Indeed.
Still waiting for mine.
Yeah, and you haven't sent me mine. And I also want a horse as well, y'all.
Y'all, I've got a lot of pointy hats on order, and they will be turning up hopefully within the next week. I'm just waiting to get them cleared through customs, because there's a funny thing about pointed hats in customs.
No. But why are we doing this? Why are we allowing illegals to come in and usurp our own indigenous people? Why are we doing that? And people will say, oh, you're being xenophobic, you're being racist. Nothing of the sort. It's a physical thing. If you bring people in and you house them and you feed them and you give them money and telephones, why aren't you doing that for our own people? Why aren't you doing it for our homeless? You've got to ask yourself the question, who the hell do you people think you are doing that to us? Go ahead, Mark.
Somebody needs to answer that question, and
they won't. Can you imagine the blob called Broomhead coming forward to actually give an explanation for that?
Well, it's not going to happen, is it?
Sick of people like that. Go ahead, Mark. Mark.
This is pure.
That's a dog with a hair lip. Go ahead.
This is pure discrimination of the majority. So how come it's a big, massive deal when it's whoever decides what the minority is? See the game here, the rules to change. But when it's the majority in your own country, really? No one's bothered.
No.
It's good. It's the question of all time, isn't it? How do we turn the world from upside down back to normal? How can we show people front to the back and the back to the front? It's not black and white, there's some grey in the middle.
The massive question is, what is the agenda? Because it's not common sense. It isn't right. It's certainly not moral.
We went through. Oh, I'm going to plug it again. We did a series of podcasts on all this, didn't we, last year?
Yes, we did.
About the attack on our culture, our identity, why they're all doing it, who's doing it. If you want to go back and look
and it's
through
our
all
own
them.
people doing it, aiding and abetting. I mean, how can you have a council, and it's happening here, but it's happening very quietly. How can you have a council usurp people who have been waiting on a housing list for 4 years and just give it away to somebody else? What is it? Who's done what? Why? And if they can't answer that question, get out of the job. Get out, because you're not helping your own people.
Who is making the decision?
Well, it's got to be a combination of the council members and the officers. And who the bloody hell do they think they are by doing something like that?
Well,
it sickens me. Go ahead, Mark.
Again, it comes back to what we discussed. Was it part one? The ideology of the totalitarians again. It's the equality, the diversity, the climate. Blah, blah, blah. It's the thing they've repeated for years and years, and you've got to conform, otherwise you're out. It's that comes before everything.
Yeah.
When you look at it, well, it's not equality, is it? If some people are waiting 4 years and some are getting given it straight away, it's not. These are all false words.
Yeah.
It's all virtue signaling. It's all to look good.
The government gave one of their favorite businesses a shed load of money to be able to dish it out to get these migrants out of the hotels and put them into these homes of multiple occupancy. So they go out and they persuade landlords with great lobos of money to change their house into a home of multiple occupancy, and they offer them incredible deals. And so as far as they're concerned, they're now starting to kick out people that have been paying rent for all these years in favor of taking the extra money. So they're also as traitorous as the government are to their own people. And any of those people, those landlords, never trust them again. Never trust any of them again. As far as I'm concerned, any banks that give them the money and do what they do, don't trust those banks either.
It's like that guy, Johnny, I don't know his name, I can't remember, who made all his millions and stuff off, the hotels and things, and now he's lapping it up somewhere sunny, and he's bragging and rubbing it in, and someone always benefits. I think
he's lapping it up somewhere sunny out of this country.
Yeah, but it's run its course now, so and people are stopping the hotels in places and things. It's bringing attention, so it's the next one. Oh, we've got them out the hotels. Well, now we know where they're going, don't we?
Yeah, starve those hotels. Starve those hotels that did it. Don't go to them. If you've not been able to go to them for the past 2 years, you don't need to go to them now. Starve them. Make them go out of business, and make them realize that you cannot do that to your fellow countrymen. Go ahead, Trevor.
Good point. Now, let me make this crystal clear, right? I don't have any problem with anybody coming from overseas to live in this, what used to be our great country. Let me make that crystal clear. If it is sustainable, right?
But it's not.
But it's not. It's not. We haven't got the housing. We haven't got the housing for ourselves, let alone another 4, 5, 6 million people. Let me get that crystal clear. I have no problem with anybody coming from anywhere if we can support that.
The trouble is they also get preferential medical treatment as well. I mean, for
they
people,
get everything.
People have to wait 2 to 3 weeks for a doctor's appointment. And don't get me started on how long it will take them to get a dental appointment. So quite simply, it's all wrong. And this government and this parliament and this new government that's going to be formed, I've got to understand that you're not on. People have now realized, and that silent majority have now realized. And even if you get voted in, if you don't back up what you're saying, people are now going to vote with their feet. And they'll just down tools. They'll just say, no, we're not working anymore. We're not going to do anything. And what's going to happen to the GDP of the country? It's going to go plummeting. And they know they're going to have to give in. That's why, that's why the police stayed out of the whole of the rally in London, because they knew that they were under a magnifying glass. And now this government, both Labour and Conservative, they're now under a magnifying glass. They can't bullshit their way through. If they get in, which they will, they're going to have to provide the goods. Otherwise, they're stuffed. They really are stuffed. Go ahead, Trevor. And then stats.
Yeah, you got to be very careful there with what you're actually saying, Jonathan, because when you say down tools, don't forget Starmer's father
was a tool maker.
A tool maker. So when you just be very, very careful when you're saying down tools, because we don't want to down Starmer, do we? Because we'll get called all sorts of names again, and we'll have hope, not hate, chasing us around the chairs.
Don't talk to me about that organisation. Nick Knowles is a snivelling little hyena.
Yeah, let's move on. Who cares about that?
Go ahead. Go on, Mark.
They're irrelevant. GDP, that's another reason they're doing this. They think this is prospering the country. Is that the word? Making the country prosper. I was going to start again, sorry.
I'm not going to edit that. I'm not going to edit it.
You better bloody hell do. Well, I'm going to swear.
Oh, look at that. That's a totalitarian statement.
Right. GDP per capita is the thing we should be looking at. And this is another thing they're doing it. They believe all this immigration is aiding us, the GDP. When we look at per capita, as we've said before, it really isn't. No. I think it's another excuse. Yeah. They're always looking, you ask a lefty, why does it benefit us? You get these excuses, and they're not true.
Oh no, it is bad news. So we've got to change things. We've got to change things in a positive way for the indigenous Brits, for the people.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for the people that are actually British, and for anybody that's asking me the question because they don't like the sound of my voice. Yes, I am British, and I hold a British passport, and I'm very proud to hold a British
don't
passport.
Be proud. Don't be proud. I was proud and ended up in the Sundays. Don't be proud.
I'm one of the proud boys.
He's loud and proud, aren't you?
Loud and proud, yeah, baby.
Anyway, you mentioned
my screen. Something's happened to my screen. I've got a big grey thingy across it.
Seen as someone mentioned Hamas before. Anyway, it's get your ass out for Hamas because it's Pride Month.
Oh God! Did you see the bun fights going on in London? Between LGBT and the Hamas.
No. Are they having it? Oh, I thought they'd all be together. Get your ass out for Hamas.
I was looking forward to that bun fight, and it started. The Muslims don't want anything to do with the homosexuals. Great, bring it on. Let's have the fight. And then we'll suddenly hear about people being thrown off buildings in London. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, again, the listeners tonight be thinking, why is the Gazelle quiet tonight? He's very quiet tonight. I'm not allowed to speak on a lot of these issues, actually, so it's been a very, very dullish from Warrington tonight, because I've got to be very careful what I say.
We'll give you a chance to speak after on a separate one.
Before we go back to these HMOs, now we've got to implement something similar with the hotel. We've got to stop this now too. So yeah, I'd recommend. I think we're going to go and maybe check some of them out and
see what find out about it.
Yes, I think we need to do that, Stats. I think we need to go live.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see how some of the residents and the neighbours feel, and let's see if we can find out who actually lives there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Excellent.
Yeah, well,
and I bet his name starts with Muhammad. And we'll knock on the door. We'll knock on the door, and we'll ask the guy, and he say, "What's your name?" And he'll say, "It's Michael." My name's Michael. All right.
Yeah, I come from Tipton. It's lovely in Tipton. Yeah. And what I was going to say then? Oh, something I read earlier on, which was quite interesting for me actually, that the landlords actually pay on a home of multiple overseas, that the landlords actually have to pay the poll tax on them.
Wow.
So they're not going to like that, are they?
Well, that's interesting.
It's a very strange twist.
I'm sure they get reimbursed.
I'm sure
down the line.
Oh, I don't doubt for 1 second they'll get reimbursed.
Okay, well, that is the end of the podcast for this week in 3 parts. And I'm absolutely certain people are listening to what we're saying because we're a little bit radical at the moment, because we can be. It's as simple as that. We can be as radical as Nige.
John, I'd say it was common sense, but if you want to call it radical.
Well, it is radical,
Yes.
compared to what you can do in this country. But
No, they're the radicals. The ones with these stupid ideas who are destroying the country and the culture. They're the radicals. It's just normal.
Well,
save
normal.
it, yeah.
our next podcast will be from HM prisons. It's so, and
I'm
then,
being very radical and being very to give people an idea of when we actually make this podcast. There's been incredible news today about Nigel Farage, who's taken over as a leader of Reform UK, and is also standing in Clacton. So don't forget, all the people of Clacton, please vote for your first Reform MP.
Indeed. Well, there you go. That's the end of the podcast for this week. And we're going to say good night from Statsman. Go ahead, Stats.
Good night to all our lovely listeners. Thanks for tuning in. And a big shout out to all the patriots, actually, who are coming together now to save this country.
Yes.
Yeah,
well
let's
done.
have it.
Well
Come
done.
on.
And
No,
well done,
I've got
Tommy.
actually.
You did a great job. Great job.
Obviously,
Yeah,
I
it
can't
wasn't
comment
just
on
it.
that. If I may just give him a few things here. I'm doing a Raven, although he's no longer with us. Not that the Raven, has flown.
I
or
don't think the
anything,
Raven was with anybody. I don't even think he was with himself.
I don't think he was, actually. I think he had a bit of a couple of seagulls flying around in his head. Now, we have this. I've got to give out a massive, massive shout out tonight to Sally, my friend Sally.
Sally.
For giving me her full backing from the Warrington for Brexit group on my campaign to oust the Islington 1 from Warrington. And thank you, Sally, so much, and I really do appreciate it.
Well, I have
And
to
just
say,
to end, I will, if I may, Mr. Landlord, I was absolutely shattered last night because this campaign is taking it out of me. And I fell asleep in my chair. And I woke up and somebody had only put a tea bag in my mouth. Now, I hate being taken for a mug. And just to finish off,
that's terrible.
and just to finish off as well, sex over 40 can be very exciting because you never know if it's an orgasm, a stroke, or just a cramp. So I'll leave you with that thought.
That'll be if you
get
get
them
in.
all three, couldn't
If you get into Parliament, that's going to be quoted.
I know that's the problem with it.
Tell you what, PMQs will certainly brighten up, won't it?
Certainly will. Once the Gazelle gets in there, it will be, as Nigel put today, a little bit gingerly. He said it. I mean, again, you got to be.